250-pound man shoving a woman on the ground is not an appropriate response.
I'm sorry, but let's not be ridiculous.
I think it's very rational.
She is obviously not talking about Charlie Kirk's murder.
Abby Phillip finally said what so many of us have been waiting to hear her say for years. Not directed at Scott Jennings this time, but aimed straight at Emily Austin, a sharp-tongued, hard-right MAGA voice repeating the same worn-out talking points we keep hearing night after night on Abby Phillip's show. This turned into a seriously heated panel, featuring voices like Anna Navarro, Bakery Sellers, Peter Meyer, and Sarah Matthews. And of course, I've got my own thoughts on everything that went down here too. Let's break it all down together.
There are versions of the country that happen, right? And the new version doesn't make the old one bad. It's necessary for growth. And I think we're in just a janky version, right?
Yeah, janky's right.
It's a janky version right now.
Tonight, those comments from former First Lady Michelle Obama are drawing some criticism from the usual suspects on the right.
Michelle Obama has some not so nice things to say about America.
Michelle Obama taking a jab at America, shocking, under President Trump's leadership.
I don't care what Michelle Obama has to say, but that arch is someone who's lived in D.C. for more than 30 years.
You know, Clay, for a woman who has everything, why is she always so miserable?
True. Well, I guess maybe there's a bit of a short memory because here are all the things that the current president in the White House has said about this country.
We are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. Our country's an embarrassment. This country has gone to hell. The American dream is dead. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. Baltimore is a hellhole. Chicago is the worst. These places are really bad. In Washington, D.C., which is a horror show. We're like a garbage can for the world. Under Biden, the USA has been turned into a dumping ground. Today, we're like a third world country. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people.
Agree. Starting with him.
I mean, I don't care what Michelle Obama said, and honestly, like, it's really not that big of a deal, but I continue to listen to it because I saw it was a topic tonight. And she went on to say, I'm really digging how people are responding to this administration. And that really bothered me because I don't know if you're turning on other news channels, but Charlie Kirk was murdered. Savannah Hernandez was beat up by a fat, angry man in Minnesota.
I think she was talking about Charlie Kirk being murdered.
No, but she said, no, she went on to talk about how people are resisting the administration.
She talked about Minneapolis. She talked about people showing up in Minneapolis.
And people are violent, and we all saw Savannah.
47 people have died in ICE custody under Trump.
And a fat man talk about violence to the ground, 250-pound man shoving a woman on the ground is not an appropriate response.
I'm sorry, but let's not be ridiculous.
I think it's very rational.
She is obviously not talking about Charlie Kirk's murder.
That was one example I gave
talking about
Nick Shirley being hunted down,
using their constitutional rights to protest against, to peacefully protest against things that they don't like. And she's using her constitutional rights to describe.
But you're talking about Minneapolis, where we also saw 2 American citizens be murdered in the streets.
Let's not be ridiculous. Honestly should be the title of Abby Phillip's News Night, because Abby Phillip could be saying that to these same voices every single night. Emily Austin, let's not be ridiculous. Scott Jennings, let's not be ridiculous. Ben Ferguson, let's not be ridiculous. Because that's exactly what it comes across as. It feels unserious. These are not serious conversations. And you start to wonder, where is the factory producing these personalities? Figures like Emily Austin all come across the same. The tone, the attitude, the delivery, it's identical. Constantly sharp, constantly combative, constantly talking over anyone who dares to disagree. And the same pattern shows up with the men, too. Scott Jennings, Ben Ferguson, it's the exact same formula. It's like they're all coming off the same assembly line, one after another, built the same way. And Emily Austin keeps circling back to every single familiar talking point. The same ones we hear over and over again. I'm going to play a little more of this, and then I'll come back to break that down further.
And come on, that's what she's talking about. We're in a janky period of America where we're seeing American citizens be targeted and shot.
Emily, did she mention any of the things that words that you're putting in
No, she mentioned Minnesota, which I thought was ironic given what just happened to Savannah. This is all over the news today. I think
she was talking about the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
But she didn't say that. So the way you interpret it,
she was talking about the Minnesota, Minneapolis showing up in defense of their community and their
But they're not peacefully defending their community.
They were very
peaceful. I watched the footage.
I watched the footage of 3 people agreed, and you could also simultaneoally agree.
This is a ridiculous, honestly, this is a ridiculous,
angle we're going down. Let's move on from that, because I think that's
what she was getting at is that I actually found what she was saying to be incredibly hopeful. She's saying that no matter how bleak it feels right now, that she's betting on the power of America, that we can always course correct, that even if things feel dark right now.
I hear your translation.
It is a janky, broken period for America.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. And the fact is that Michelle Obama, for a long period of time from conservatives, has gotten just an unfair, I mean, they've talked about her looks. They called her out her name. They called her an ape. They called her a monkey. Michelle Obama is
and Melania spared from that? It's every first lady that gets screwed.
They called her a man. And if you go online, you're going to see all of these claims, all of these references to Michelle Obama being a man. Do you ever see that same kind of talk directed at Melania Trump? No, you don't.
We're not necessarily talking about the same thing, but I'm going to finish. Michelle Obama is one of the most talented people we have who've entered this political sphere. She's very educated. She's very well spoken. She's a beautiful woman. And all she's doing is speaking her mind right now. And the trouble that Republicans have, and the trouble that you have, Emily, it's fascinating to watch, is that when you have a black woman who is speaking her truth.
This is not about skin color, but
No, I'm just saying. Because everyone has this same, it's the same reverberation. When you have a black woman that's speaking her truth, the way that she is, with the power that she is, with the education that she does, there's no comparison between Michelle Obama and Melania Trump. You want to talk about education level? You want to talk about job
attainment? I'm just not playing identity politics.
No,
Gavin Newsom's wife is an idiot too, and she's white.
We're not even talking about identity. We're talking about achievement. We're talking about the fact that she has a JD.
I never knocked on that.
No, we're talking about she has a JD. We're talking about the fact that she's never posed nude.
That's
we're talking about, but that's the difference.
She's never had to deny.
And she's never had to deny
Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't recall knocking on any of that. I simply said I find it disturbing that today of all days she mentioned Minnesota.
And the crazy thing about it, when I said that, you said identity, and I'm like, no.
Because you happen to mention that she's black,
no,
and I don't care. I actually think she might be a lovely woman.
The achievement of Michelle Obama intimidates many people on the right, and that's okay. You know what she's doing tonight? She's probably having a little cranberry and Tito's and having a good time, understanding that it drives you all.
Bakery Sellers is right that so much of this really does come down to racism. I mean, look at what happened just a couple of months ago with those AI images where Michelle Obama and Barack Obama were depicted as apes. Everyone knows exactly what that is. That's racism, plain and simple. And then there's this claim they keep pushing about her being a man, calling her Michael instead of Michelle. I don't even know if you categorize it the same way, but it's completely unhinged. It's detached from reality. And the level of hatred directed at her, so much of it clearly has roots in racism. But beyond that, when you look at this broader conversation about criticizing the United States or any administration, there's a pattern. MAGA voices and right-wing commentators act like they're the only ones allowed to criticize the country. They'll say it's the greatest country on earth and beyond criticism, but in the same breath describe it like it's some kind of dystopian nightmare, like something out of Mad Max. Yet the moment Democrats or anyone on the left points out real issues, suddenly it's, well, why don't you move to Canada? Or why don't you go to Europe if you hate it here so much? In that worldview, criticism is only acceptable when it comes from them. Anyone else is dismissed outright. And the points Emily Austin keeps pushing, while talking over voices like Anna Navarro and even Abby Phillip as the host, follow that same script. The air quotes around peaceful protesting say everything. Because in that mindset, there's no such thing as a legitimate protest. To them, all protest is automatically violent, no matter what actually happens. Whether it's Black Lives Matter, protests against ICE, or any other movement, it doesn't matter. In that worldview, protest itself is the problem. Figures like Emily Austin, Scott Jennings, and others make it clear they don't believe in protest, and they don't believe in criticism unless it's coming from their side. If they had been around during the Boston Tea Party, they'd probably be calling those protesters terrorists for dumping tea into the harbor. You already know that's how it would go.
As a private citizen,
that's the last word, everyone. Thank you. We'll be back in a moment.
What note did you have?
So Emily Austin and MAGA voices, when they go on something like Fox News and say, why is she so miserable about everything? Again, there's a clear double standard at play. If you're on the left and you say, hey, maybe things could be better, maybe we can improve something, suddenly you're labeled as miserable. But if Donald Trump is out there describing America as a mess, pointing out problem after problem, then he's framed as someone who's just telling it like it is. A truth teller. The narrative becomes that people like Barack Obama and Joe Biden supposedly ruined the country, and now Trump has to come in and fix everything. There's an immunity to hypocrisy there. It doesn't really matter what argument you make. They're not going to meet you halfway. And realistically, the only outcome many people expect is that these voices eventually move on. Because history shows that when Trump is no longer at the center of things, a lot of the same people will distance themselves and act like they were never fully on board. Take Emily Austin, for example. She was at a UFC event recently, taking photos with Donald Trump, so it's very clear where she stands right now. But fast forward a few years, and the expectation is that many will shift their messaging as public opinion changes. As numbers drop and narratives evolve, you'll likely hear less direct alignment and more revision of past positions. What you probably won't hear, though, is a full reversal. No moment where someone comes back on Abby Phillip's Newsnight and says, you know what, that criticism was valid. Instead, the focus usually moves on to the next figure, whether that's J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, and the cycle repeats. But I'm curious where you land on this. Do you agree with what Emily Austin was saying here, especially the idea that protests are inherently violent, often based on isolated examples? Do you think, like bakery seller suggested, that a lot of the attacks toward Michelle Obama are rooted in racism? Or do you think it goes beyond that? Drop your thoughts on this entire Abby Phillip panel discussion. And if you made it this far, don't forget to leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more.